Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Quick and Slow Comedy Show, the only podcast that's recorded in a pants-free zone. I'm your host, Nick McQuik, and today on the podcast we're joined by very funny comedian Ryan Paterson, who talks to us about dead twins and hitchhikers and all that other fun stuff. But before we get to the fun, I just want to let you guys, the listeners, know I'm doing a comedy show November 24th, that's a Tuesday, at the comic strip at West 7th Mall. And because I love you loyal listeners so much, if you walk up to the door and you say, hey, Nick McQuik left me a ticket, they'll give you a free fucking ticket. Come on in and see some of Edmonton's best comedy. And now, Ryan Paterson. Last time I saw you, you and me had a weekend together at the strip. Was that you, me, and who's the headliner? Was it Matt Sadler?
Who was the headliner?
I don't know.
I forget.
I try to remember.
Terrible.
Well, yeah,
it kind of all blends into one after a while. I forget who that was. But yeah, that was a fun week. Yeah, that was the first time that we worked together.
Yeah, that was awesome. I had a great time.
Yeah. I still remember the first time. I ever met you. Because you were at the back of the strip, and then I'm like, "Hi, my name's Ryan," and then you were like, "You look like you're really sick."
You did.
And I was like, am I sick? Yeah, maybe I am.
I don't know. You looked like kind of washed out.
I probably was like hungover or something.
And thin.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you are very thin, but I mean, when I'm hanging around with Matt Alladine,
oh yeah, thinner, yeah,
much thinner. Yeah. But you look healthy thin when you're in the light, but when you're in the dark, that's a different look.
Yeah, it could look, not good.
Yeah. But you stay in shape. You're a runner.
Yeah, try and stay in shape. Well, I live right along the ocean, so I just ride my bike every day and then try and go to the gym as much as possible. I think in comedy, when you're touring, it's really easy to be unhealthy and die fast.
I did a comedy show in Lethbridge with is that Lethbridge or Lacombe? I don't know, one of the two. The south one. What is the one that's south of Calgary?
Both of them.
Oh, damn it. Okay, well, I did a comedy show there with a mutual friend, Kathleen McGee.
Oh, yeah.
And we were staying at the hotel there, and they had a fitness room. And I went in, and they had a treadmill and a broken exercise bike.
Oh, yeah, hotel fitness rooms are the best.
So when you're on the road, I was like, I'm going to go lift some weights. I ended up lifting an exercise bike.
Oh, yeah.
And then just doing squats with it. So.
Honestly, if you're traveling and you're worried about it, just bring a kettlebell and a yoga mat and just figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, but a kettlebell is very...
That's still annoying to
hard to move.
Yeah.
Like when you're, especially if you're flying somewhere, flying with a giant cannonball with a handle on it, that's going to raise some questions.
As long as what is the check-in baggage fee? What, 50? I guess, you probably, I don't know.
I don't know. That's going to put you overweight, though.
Those hotel exercise rooms, it's almost like they forgot to build an exercise room. And then they're like, okay, just got a suite 102.
Yeah. Some of them are like a closet.
Well,
yeah.
I think the reason is because of liability. If they put a lot of weights and shit like that in there, and they have somebody that's just going through that one time that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and then they get decapitated by by the press up bar or something like that, then it's like, okay, yeah, we just have a treadmill.
So how do you explain the pools then?
Yeah, like anybody.
I've never swam
before.
before.
Only this deep.
I can kill myself with a plate, thank you. I brought my own belt, okay? They've got I can manufacture a horrible scene without weights, okay?
I guess it's just easier to explain to lawyers.
I think it is Lethbridge. I think it's Lacombe's north. Yep, that's definitely it.
So it was Lethbridge.
Yeah, it was Lethbridge.
Okay, Lethbridge.
Average Joe's in Lethbridge. That's
yeah.
Did a good show there with Kathleen McGee. It was awesome. We got wildly drunk afterwards with some of the locals.
She's a good drinker.
She's an amazing drinking buddy.
Yeah, she's very impressive.
I know. I'm not much of a drinker, so I'm actually kind of a lush. But I was sitting there watching her because she started drinking when the MC got on. And I was like, I'm just going to take my first beer and then go on stage and have a party. And I was up there, and when I got off and then she went up, she had 5 empties. And I'm like, wow. And then after the show, it was she's like, let's get the party started. I'm like, kind of thought that we were already there, but okay.
Yeah, I'm not good enough to drink on stage or get drunk on stage at least.
Yeah.
You have to be. It's a different level of that's the next level.
Yeah, I can't do that. I gotta like be in the zone. I have to find my focus. If I'm drunk on stage, I don't know where it's gonna go.
I'm completely mediocre when I'm sober on stage. When I get drunk, it's just fucking awful.
Like it should be a different classification. Like instead of like are they a headliner? Like are they good when they're drunk on stage?
It's like, are you a person that can function while drunk?
Well, are you a master of the drunken fist, or are you just a drunken fucking idiot?
Yep. Are you? It's basically like, can you be so sad and yet appear happy at the same time without alcohol, or do you require that?
It's always funny when the audience buys the performer shots or drinks while they're on stage, because I've seen it happen to where then the actor's gotten pretty drunk near the last half of their set.
Yeah.
And it's like, you guys caused this.
Yeah.
Like if you went to like a movie and then you're paying the guy who's in charge of the sound and stuff, like, keep on drinking. It's like Batman slurring. This sucks.
Yeah. Definitely. Like I've written stuff that I can like say on stage to turn down drinks because I've had to do that before.
Yeah.
But generally not too much of a problem. But I found one of the things I like to do when I'm hosting is I'll go up with a beer and I'll buy a couple beers for people while I'm up there, just to kind of like get drink sales going and show everyone it's kind of a crazy party. So I'll have like my one beer on stage so that I can still function. But I find after I start buying people drinks, people will try and buy me drinks kind of back. So it's good for the venue because they're going to sell more. So it reflects they're like, hey, I want that guy because he sold a lot of drinks. But it's hard when you're up there and like, have you ever done Regina?
Yes.
Yeah. They have like stein glasses of beer. They're like a liter and a half of beer.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had one of like, I told the guy I'm going to go on stage to send a beer up for me. And so he sent one of those up and I drank a little bit of it. And then 2 more were bought by the audience and then shots were being bought. And I'm like, okay, this is going to end badly. I'm going to go to jail if I drink anymore.
Yeah, Regina can be fun. I remember I had one of the, like this, to me, this kind of encompasses how a lot of people in Regina think. I had a guy come up to me after, and he was like, so you live in Vancouver? Hey, that sucks. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, oh, how, okay. Like, I'm like, okay, why is that? And he's like, well, just like Regina's way better. Like, why don't you just move to Regina? And I'm like, well, why do you think Regina's better? And he's like, well, because we have the riders. And when he said that, you can't really say anything like this.
Oh my God.
What do you even say back? Like, there's nothing to say. So you just go like, yeah, that's a really good point. Like, you just have to.
So what you're saying is you talk to a special needs guy in Regina.
But,
he probably like drives the whole way from Regina to Edmonton every football game and fuck with a watermelon on his goddamn head.
Oh, man.
Like pressing his tits up to the fucking side of the car window. I remember I used to drive by a lot of them.
That was fun, by the way, that show that you hooked me up with, that Woody. So
yeah. It's kind of like a weirder show because your audience is not there. Your audience is a lot of the times comics. So because I did Toronto a while ago and I was there a whole week and they've got a lot of performing for other comics waiting to go up. So it kind of, a couple things clicked in my brain on like how to address that situation and how to work with that audience. So I kind of mulled over my options when I go up there and I just kind of crowd work the comedians and touch on their jokes and like go like, hey, does anybody here have a joke or a better punchline than that kind of thing? And like just sort of a workshop kind of fun little event. It's definitely one of the stranger rooms in Edmonton.
I think like gay bars, I think they're going to be my favorite from now on to go to, because I had a really fun experience at a couple months ago in Winnipeg at their gay bar.
Yeah.
Because
is that Rumors?
No. No, which would be awesome. No, just a gay comedy club. Yeah. It's called Fame in Winnipeg, and I went because I was working with Big Brother a couple months ago.
Yeah, you were doing the castings.
Yeah. So it was fun, and then
you were at the castings in Calgary. I was at the castings in Edmonton. Yeah.
So my boss is from LA, and he's gay, and he's the coolest guy ever.
Yeah.
So we went to Fame, but it was my first time. It was my first time seeing a male stripper, like an actual, and the guy got fully naked.
Yeah, it's different than what you think.
Yeah, and he had a giant dick.
Yeah.
And then
flapping around.
It wasn't. Well, it was like semi.
It was a semi flap.
He had like an epic monologue, and like strobe lights, like
He had like a type 5.
and then
A tight 5
no,
and a
it was
hard
actually-
8.
It was like a technic,
Well, that's
a
funny.
techno monologue. And then it's funny too because like there was a guy beside me. He's like, "That's fucking 12 inches." Like, and he said it with kind of like a painful smile on his face. Like that's like, but the guy did something. What he did is he put body paint on his dick, and then he started slapping it on canvases, and he would hand the
Picasso.
canvases out to people in the audience.
Wow.
And people were going crazy. And the whole time I was watching this, I'm just like, man, this guy is getting paid to make dick pics.
Yeah.
Like, there's people all over the world right now doing this for free.
See, my thought is like he must have like made finger paintings in school and brought that home to his mom, and she was like, I'm gonna have so much positive reinforcement for him that he's gonna grow up to be an artist, and he is.
Yeah. Or imagine the
Certainly is creative.
because there must have been the very first time that he ever tried it. Just like, and there must have been some.
Well, imagine there's like a accident at Home Depot. And that's where he learns about it.
Well, like lady strippers do that all the time, where they
Yeah.
bring up they do the boob paintings.
Yeah.
So he probably just jacked it off of that.
Yeah.
Check
Maybe
it
he could be. It could be hack in the
Yeah.
male stripper world.
Yeah. Body paint. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like airplane jokes.
Yeah. But it was, I had because I'm pretty tall, 6'5", and there was a guy.
And you're handsome. Don't forget that
There
too.
was a guy that was 6'9". So I'm dancing.
Wow.
with the people from the show. We're all having fun.
Yeah.
And he would come up behind me and start lifting up my shirt, and he'd be like, "Hey, little man, what you got?" Like, which was weird because I was kind of like, he was big. Like I was intimidated. And I'd be like, "Hey, I'm just here dancing with my friends." Like, and then I'm like, "This is how girls feel like half the time when they're at bars." Like, that's why I think that it should be mandatory for like a lot of aggressive guys to go to gay bars
And
and just, you know what I mean,
And
just
get treated like a chick for
just
one
to get treated
day.
like a chick. I think it's a great idea because I mean, I'm not overly aggressive with girls, but if I ever thought I was going to be, that experience.
yeah, that'll teach you. Eh?
And he was getting annoyed with me that I wasn't into him. Like he would buy me a drink and stuff, and I'm like, it's okay. Like,
You're like, sorry, there's pills floating in this.
so, yeah,
Sorry, Mr. Cosby, I can't have this.
but it was,
That's rough.
yeah, it's definitely my advice.
See, I did a show in the gay bar, Woody's, about 5 months ago. Is this the one I'm referencing? Ryan Short?
Yeah.
He was there, and me and Ryan Short were talking about something, I don't know, Pokemon or something stupid. And this guy walks up and goes up to Ryan. He's like, "Wow, you're really You're really good looking. Are you single?" And Ryan's like, "Oh, I'm straight." And then he looks from Ryan. He's like, "What about you?" And I'm like, "What? Fuck! Your second choice? Fuck off!"
Yeah, because that's the same as if you went up to two girls.
Yeah.
Are you single? She's
No.
like, "No." Then what about your friend? Like,
Yeah, it's like now nobody feels good in that
yeah,
situation.
no one feels good.
Yeah,
at all.
so you learn a lot about hitting on women by getting hit on by men.
Yeah, because even if the second person, even if her friend goes, "I am single," then her other friend's like, "What are you doing?" Like,
Yeah,
this
like,
guy's
come on, get
desperate.
some self-esteem, girlfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this guy's super desperate.
Yeah. Oh. But you're doing your weekend. You've been touring all over the place.
Yeah, touring lots. I head back on Tuesday, then I'm back out here for a bit in November, and then I'm also trying to in the new year. I've been trying to get more into TV work, so
Ooh.
trying to work on. There's a show called Ice Racer Challenge that just came out in CMT, and that was one of the funnest jobs ever because I got to do lots of fun things, but I also got to play like a zombie Yeti that threw snowballs at cars.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, and in my head the whole time I was like, if I could go back and meet Kid Ryan, like little Ryan, and be like, dude, one day you're gonna get paid money
To be
to
a
dress
zombie,
up like
right?
a zombie snowman and throw snowballs at cars.
That sounds like the fucking best thing ever.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was a lot, and I took it serious. Like lots of the people, they're like, "Ooh, this." I took it like serious, and I broke the grill off one of the cars. Like I was like, because like I
got
used
a
to,
good arm on you.
yeah, I used to play baseball, and like I'm tall, so I have lots of leverage. Like,
Yeah.
and I just was like chasing after these cars, and then I hit. There's this episode already aired, but there's a Red Bull competitive pilot, and this guy's like really good.
Yeah.
And I hit him pretty hard in the neck.
Oh my god.
And you're not supposed to, because they're racing cars, so the windows are permanently open on them, right?
Yeah.
And so the safety guy comes up to me after, he's like, "You're not supposed to like hit the players in the head." Like, I was like, "I'm not trying to." Like, these cars are driving fast, and I'm chasing after them, whipping snowballs.
What is the name of this show?
Ice Racer Challenge.
Ice Racer Showdown?
Ice Racer Showdown. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm
That's
sorry,
good.
I had to save this for later.
Yeah.
When you when you started out in comedy, you started out in Edmonton, right?
Yeah.
You were one of the founders. There used to be a comedy night of Filthy McNasties.
Yeah.
And I remember when I started out, that was one of the first stages I actually got stage time on.
Oh yeah.
And it was really confusing for me because I thought Lacombe ran it, and then Dempsey ran it, and then like I had heard of you before I'd ever met you.
Yeah.
Because they told the legend of Ryan Paterson
Yeah.
started
Oh.
this room. Yeah. Then I had met you and completely forgotten that I had heard of you. But it like the second time I met you, I think it all kind of clicked together that I was like, oh yeah, that's the tall guy.
Yeah.
That's that guy. Yeah.
Well,
When
these-
you,
yeah,
you
it was- sorry.
came here, you had like an influence, a lasting influence after you left and went on.
Yeah. Edmonton was fun, because I was bartending at a comedy club, and then just doing the amateur night here and there, and then just how everyone started, and then the guest spots, and working at a comedy club is it's an interesting way to start in also.
Jamie was thinking about doing that way.
It's really, really great for people that are really afraid of everything. Because then you're like, I fucking belong here. I'm being paid, you motherfuckers.
Yeah. But Filthy's there was some great nights there. That to this day is probably like my favorite room that I've ran, because I've run quite a few at this point. So
Yeah.
and then it was me and Jordan Shazowski. And so it was when that place was packed. Yeah, it was.
So it was two tall, handsome dudes that started this.
So-
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, it was. That was a great room. And then I left, and then Jordan left, and then I believe, I think Dempsey and
had it.
Sean took it over.
Yeah.
Maybe at the same time.
Yeah. And they passed it back and forth for a while.
Yeah, passed it back and
And then,
forth. And
Dempsey had it till it was done, right?
And then I hosted, the first time I ever hosted there was the last show, and I hosted and I wrapped up, and like the headliner's on, and I go up to Dempsey and I'm like, hey, who should I say is coming next weekend? He goes, oh, we're not having any more shows. This is the last show.
Yeah.
So then I go up and I'm like, well, thank you for. So yeah, I put the mic in the stand and walked off, and I'm like, I was the last guy to perform on that show.
One thing you realize too, like even like touring in different cities, it seems like in the bigger cities, those rooms are more hard to Toronto.
Oh yeah,
Like to non-comedy club open mic nights where there's actually lots of people in the crowd, like 40 plus people,
Yeah.
which is a lot for.
for just a amateur.
Because in
open mic.
Vancouver too, it can be tough. Like
There's friend of show started a room there, the King's Head, I think.
King's
it
Head,
is.
yeah.
and apparently
King's
that's
Head's-
actually really
yeah,
good.
King's Head's really good. Yeah, Jamie
Yeah.
Kennedy, and so it's that's a solid room. Corduroys that I used to run out there.
Yeah.
is-
What made you want to start running a room? Was it just because you knew you'd have stage time, or
Yeah, it's for sure. It's
Yeah.
like I think most people run rooms because you can at least have more control over how much stage time you're getting. You
Yeah.
can practice your host
Wanna
skills
host.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
and then of course there's also there's benefits on the side that come. It's great for networking because when you start running a room, all of a sudden people are messaging you like headliners from across the country. Hey, I
Yeah.
heard you
Yeah.
run a great room, and then if you ever come to Toronto, you can play my room. And
Yeah, does have a lot of benefits that way. I
yeah,
can
yeah. So
definitely
it's
see
it's win-win for sure.
that. Yeah. Well, and like I've worked with you before and seen you host many times. In fact, I saw you host one show where there was two hosts.
that was the funniest.
Yeah.
That was a weird show.
That was so great.
But
That's
yeah.
right, when they double booked me
Yeah.
and Matt.
I loved it when he was just eating and you were like calling your mom and telling her you were gay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like
She just expected it.
it's the way that you interact with the audience and you seem to bring a really positive attitude. Like I can tell that your hosting game is definitely way up there.
Yeah.
Like not that great of a comic, but amazing.
Yeah,
host.
Yeah.
No.
The comedy part doesn't matter. It's just the hosting
Exactly.
part.
You're a great Yeti and a host.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
Excellent snowball pitching arm.
Yeah. Oh, if they just had snowballs in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, hosting. I've always really enjoyed hosting. I really like actually hosting amateur night. It's fun. When I first started hosting, I found it was really easy just to get laughs by being mean to someone that bombed or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you know. But I just was like, I realized also how sensitive these guys
Yeah.
were. If you're like, what the hell was that guy like? And it just would seem like an easy way to get laughs. So I just found, and also too, I found that if I was negative to people that were like, if they had a rough set, or say if they just, they just bombed or whatever, that the crowd kind of started losing a little respect in the show if the host did also.
Yeah.
So as long as I've just, you could just say, all right, that guy did awesome. Like, let's bring on the next guy, or
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you always seem to bring a really positive energy on stage, and like you have a good sort of reset in between each set, so that it doesn't seem like anybody's following anybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You need to. Yeah, hosting probably a really good host. I mean, a headliner, it's so different, but a really good host is almost as valuable as a headliner in that sense, because a host can really put a show.
I've seen hosts tank shows, and
Yeah.
I've seen hosts make shows a lot
Yeah.
of times.
Yeah.
Well, I've talked to a lot of comics about this, and they go like, "Oh, I'm the headliner. This is my show. That's this." Or like, I think that the show is the audiences. Like the comics that go up, that's great. Whenever you go up, you're all making different money. You're all doing different things. We're all different parts of a machine working together. But like, if there's the single mother of two who sit her and come here, and there's a 2-drink minimum and a $5 ticket, and she's like barely getting by, we make her laugh. That's our job, is to solicit that emotion. So it's not you're going up there and these people paid to see you and you're great. It's no, these people need to laugh. They paid money.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter where you go in the show. Just make them happy.
Yeah. It's a fine balance for sure. I think it's a fine balance for sure. Between saying what people will find funny, and then also what you find funny.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard one comic described it to me like, and this is kind of how I do it, and I think a lot of people do it, but I have a lot of jokes that I have for myself, but then I have a lot that I know the crowd will like to give me a little buffer zone.
Yeah.
Like, so I can say a couple weirder jokes, and if you start to lose them, then you have the jokes that kind of are like, okay, he's not completely nuts. So,
Yeah. It's the one for them, one for you sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good. But yeah, you always have to remember for sure
Yeah.
that people are, like paying. Like I've seen comics lose it on the crowd, as you guys probably
Oh
too.
yeah. I've seen some people do a joke and they're like, "You don't think that's funny?" And they go right into it, and it's like, okay, this guy or something. And I mean, it's like people say like, "Oh, truck drivers are assholes," or "This guy's an asshole." People are people. There's good people and bad people. It all depends on what happened. You don't know what's going on in their day. So like, I had to do comedy in Red Deer. I was hosting a show in Red Deer at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
I got a phone call. The third comic's up. My mom calls me and goes, "Hey Nick, your grandfather's in the hospital dying." Wow, what a coincidence. I'm in Red Deer. I'll be there right after the show.
Yeah.
And I had to hang up and go like, "Hey guys, you ready for your next comic?" And I'm like, inside, I'm freaking the fuck out. And I'm like, "Don't take it out on them. Don't."
Oh yeah.
But it's hard not to bring your like life onto stage, or at least to not lash out with it.
There was a few years ago, I was hosting an open mic in Vancouver, and I was talking to my mom that day, and she had a few drinks in her. And then something came up. There was, one of my cousins was having twins, and then she's like, "I hope that everything goes well because our family has a bad history of, twins at birth." And I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean, Mom?" And she's like, "Well, I mean, like, your twin died at birth." And I'm like, "I had a twin?" I'm like,
God.
"I had a twin?" Like,
That's pretty fucking
it's
rough.
taken you over 30 years. So-
Shit.
And then she's like, "Yeah." And then, so I didn't believe her at first, and because my name's Ryan, and she's like, "No, your sister's name was Ryan, I think, like named after a Fleetwood Mac song or something." And I was like, yeah. And I was like, "What? Like, why didn't you?" And then she's like, and she started crying. She's like, "You don't believe me? You don't think I went through a lot of pain over this?"
Holy shit.
And then I just was like, "What?" And that was, so for me to try and even comprehend that before going on stage, like,
Oh God.
I had a sister for a bit.
That must have been so hard to go on stage.
It was, the funny thing is, it was so bizarre that it was kind of funny. Like a story like that isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't sad. It's just funny because it's just like, how have you not said anything? It's
Yeah.
not like me and my mom have a strained relationship. We talk like almost every day.
Yeah,
Still.
you called her on the stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yuck, yucks.
So, yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I guess I won. I beat her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The stronger
Yeah.
one survived.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, hell, you're on TV. You're throwing
Yeah, throwing
snowballs.
snowballs.
You're doing comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you're living enough life for two people already. So,
Yeah.
oh, the terrible things I think.
Oh my gosh. So this weekend, Carrie was hosting for Nikki Payne, and I caught vague wind of
Carrie
some-
Unger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I caught vague wind of some catastrophe show that happened recently. Was there a catastrophe, or is this something from the past?
Catastrophe show. What do you mean?
Was there some sort of show where like there was catastrophes going down? Was working and I didn't get to like pry him about it.
Yeah, there was a hurricane in Mexico.
I don't know. I was like, if nothing rings a bell, then
What
obviously
do
it
you
was
mean, like
something in the past.
a fundraiser?
Maybe. I don't know. Were you guys working together recently?
Did he mention me?
He mentioned you. Someone mentioned you. And someone...
There was. Carrie and I used to be in a band, kind
Oh,
of.
I know that.
The
Okay,
Twin
well,
Flames, and we
I'm
had
like-
a song.
if nothing happened recently, I was like, well, if nothing comes to mind, then obviously it wasn't anything recent. I was like, I didn't
was-
get a chance to ask Carrie. I have to ask Ryan.
We had a show at. It's not Kaylee's anymore. I think it's the Canadian Brew House, like
Yeah.
Oliver Square.
Yeah, right near the Grand McEwen.
Yeah, and there was one night, and Carrie and I. So Carrie and I would have, because you've seen, like, Carrie's a really great musician.
Yeah, I've seen his YouTube song
Yeah.
about country music.
Yeah. So Carrie and I used to do it together, and I'd play tambourine because I'm like super good at tambourine.
I can tell you got the cheekbones for
Yeah.
it.
And
Oh my god.
and so it was a lot of fun. But we had a special song right after the tsunami. I think, and it was like, it's too soon to joke about the tsunami, and I think it was like, yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It was too soon to joke about it. We had the whole crowd singing with us. It was a well-written song, but
Yeah. No. It's good to flirt with the humor of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Carrie's he's definitely one of my favorite. Always has been. He's good.
Carrie has a great song about only hitting the women he loves.
Yeah.
We co-wrote that song.
Really?
It was funny because his wife Nikki was there. And I remember she comes in the room and we're going over the lyrics, like like a little blood on your face will wipe that smile off your face. I only hit the women I love. And we're like, what do you think of this? And she's like, yeah, it's awesome. It's great. And like of course she's a comic's wife.
Yeah.
That one was, that was a great song.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, I only. I love.
Jeez.
Oh.
If you don't tell the truth, I'll hit you harder than Babe Ruth.
Oh my god.
That is good.
Let's smack on
Is
the
it-
nose.
is
to
is
match
that
the
on like
eyebrows.
YouTube or something?
A couple of his songs are on YouTube.
That one isn't. When we used to
Fuck.
do it together, because it was like vaudeville style, and then he'd be like, "Take it away, Ryan," and then I do fake tap dancing, and and it just would go on really long.
Monty Python style tap dancing.
Oh yeah, it was great.
But I don't know if you guys have done a recorded version, but I will do a studio recording of that for free. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
should. We really should. We wanted to release like a best of double-sided album, but just have like the 6 songs on there. Like 3 on one, 3 on the other, and then of course his Carrie's song "I'm Not the Father," which is a great. That was it.
Yeah, during Christmas season, he often will end the shows with those.
Yeah.
Oh man. That I don't know. I'd say a recording that would be really good. Something to sell after the shows would be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
it'd
It'd
be
be fun
great
to do
merch.
that.
I'll give you my card before you leave.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I'll have to dust off the
The tambourine.
Actually,
Tambo?
I was at a party in Vancouver a few weeks ago with Chris Griffin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Chris
is
Griffin's
awesome.
hilarious.
But the whole night, we had a joke. I was like, just tell everyone in the party that I'm really good at guitar, and to try and convince me. and so he did, and he'd be like, Ryan is amazing at guitar. And I'm like, guys, I don't want to play guitar right now. And then finally we brought the whole party down to the basement, And then I took him aside and I'm like, what are we going to do? Like, I've never played guitar in my life. Like, this isn't, and they're excited. Like they're happy. And he's like, Ryan, like he's amazing at playing Delilah. Which is such a stupid, as if I'd play that song. Like, you'd have to be just an ass, like, hey, hey, Delilah. Like, that's the song to play in front of a bunch of strangers. And then so I'm like, the only way I think we might be able to get out of this is if like, just ask me to play a song called Orchids in the Hallway first. And he's like, play Orchids in the Hallway first. And I'm like, why did you have to mention that song? I don't know if I want to. And he's like, just play it. And they're like, why don't you want to play that song? And I'm like, well, because I wrote that song to kind of document my dad's battle with cancer. And it was like an instant buzz kill, of course. But then Chris goes, I don't care, play the fucking song. and I'm like, I don't know. Let me just get the confidence here. I don't know. And then Chris is like, well, can anyone else play a couple songs before Ryan? Like,
can anybody open for him?
And then so eventually everyone else there was other people there that could play. And then there was a tambourine there and I just started playing tambourine. And then eventually, the guy whose house it was, he was like, just play Delilah already. Like he was mad. Like,
Oh my god.
like it's been an hour, like everyone else has played guitar, like you don't have to play Orchids in the Hallway. And then I was like, I can't play it. And then they were super disappointed. And then I was like, did I even tell any of you guys that I could actually play the guitar though? And they're like, well, no. and then they're like, and then to Chris, but Chris was like, I saw you playing guitar. And I'm like, dude, like that was YouTube. Like I had a guitar in my hands, but that was YouTube that you saw. And so then their anger turned to him like, you're really stupid. How did he?
Wow.
Oh.
But that, yeah.
Man,
So,
you fuck with a lot of people. I still remember one of my favorites is people asking to get their photos taken after shows.
okay.
And they hand you the camera.
Yeah.
And you just have the camera or the cell phone, and it's the same cell phone you have, and you're like, I'm unfamiliar with this. Hold on, I just gotta figure it out. And you're like just taking like photos of everything, like of the floor, the chairs, everything. You're looking all over, tapping the button. You're like, I don't know how to do this, and you're just fucking with them, filling up their phone with photos the whole time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, can you show me how to work this? And yeah, it's you're basically playing a game of how long can I keep this person standing here uncomfortably.
Oh yeah.
So the aristocrats.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's so it's a hoot.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Just having fun with people.
I love it when other people do that in front of me because I have so much trouble keeping up ruses. Like I get this like guilt and uncomfortable feeling inside of me, and I am bad at like lying. I'm bad at not showing it. And so I just like love it when someone else can do all these things that I want to do but can't manage to do.
Well, the best a couple years ago, and you guys probably heard of it, was the Hitchhiker Story.
Oh yeah.
The Hitchhiker Story. I'm unfamiliar with this.
That was, I'll just do it. I'll say the story really fast because it's a long story. But basically, there was a comedian a couple years ago that I was on. He was opening for me, and prior to we had one show, a final show in Hinton. But every show before that, I was like, if we see a hitchhiker, we got to pick him up. It's karma. It's karma. We never did, of course. And so I have a buddy of mine who I work on TV shows with sometimes, and we were like, yeah, let's pretend you're a fake hitchhiker. And we'll pick you up, and I'll just get this other comic. We'll just make sure he smokes lots of weed before. And so we set it up. So I dropped him off first and picked up the other comic, and then we drove by. I'm like, there's a hitchhiker, dude. We got to pick him up. And then he's like, oh, okay. And so the guy gets in the back, my buddy Kendall, and he gets in the back. And his character was like an ex like high-end sniper for the Canadian military.
High-end sniper.
Who was
not like those dollar store snipers.
Yeah,
not like those Walmart or Target snipers.
Yeah.
Target sniper.
Yeah, like the low-end one. We need to shoot a goat. He's saying he's off the grid, and he's also extremely homophobic, just to make things more awkward in the car. Because he's like, "You guys aren't boyfriends, right?" And then,
oh fuck.
And then, so I also gave him some inside information about the other comic that I was with, which kind of gave credit to it just made it more, he's like, yeah, this guy knows a lot of stuff. And this my buddy Kendall also does work with the military a bit. Yeah. So there was a time where we saw like a Hercules kind of over the highway, but it's doing like some parachute drop testing. Nice. And he called a buddy in the Army, and he's like, Alpha Bravo, blah, 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 blah. And it just sounded really official. And so the other guy was like, this guy's for real. And so we get to the comedy show, and then we're like, all right, dude, see you later. Like, the funny thing is he was hitchhiking to the West Coast, that's a long way to go from Edmonton too, which is pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
And so we get to Hinton, and we do the show. But before the show, the other comic calls me. He's like, yeah, Chuck was his name. He's like, Chuck City hasn't got a ride yet. So he's going to watch the show, I guess. And so the hitchhiker's sitting in the back of the room the whole time, awkwardly, right? And then he comes and hangs out with us after.
Yeah.
And he's all loosens up, and he's drinking. Everyone's drinking. And it was funny because there was a couple of girls there, and one of them was friends with a booker, and I told her that we had a hitchhiker, and he went to introduce himself to her, and she's like, oh, you're the fucking hitchhiker, and just like turned away.
Oh.
But to him, he was like, game on. Like, in half an hour, he was dancing with her, and he had his shirt off, and she's like, oh my God, where did you find this guy? He's amazing. On the side of the road. And so eventually fast forward to like 3, 4 in the morning, and we're back in my hotel room, and there had been some adventures, a couple of riggers that tried to come into our room and tried to get us to buy them booze because they were cut off, so he just goes, I'm done, and just falls on the bed and starfishes. And the other comic looks at me and he goes, ooh, what should we do now? And I'm like, I guess he's sleeping in my room, man. I'll see you in the morning. And he just left with the biggest concern on his face, like, dude, you're letting a hitchhiker sleeping in your room? And so in the morning comes, and we're in the car, and the other comic's like, wow, he's like, Chuck was the craziest guy. That was such a fun night. Like, I hope his adventures go well. And I'm like, actually, yeah, I just kind of talked to him, and he just got a job in Edmonton. He used to hitchhike back. And then so we gave him a ride back to Edmonton, and then we kind of forgot to joke.
That's fucking hilarious.
So I thought he knew, but he didn't know. And so 6 months later, I got a call from him, and he goes, was Chuck fake, the hitchhiker?
Did you Fight Club me? Was this all part of my imagination?
And I'm like, oh yeah, I thought you knew after somehow you found out or something. He's like, do you know how many people I've told that story to? Like, I was at a habit. And then he's like, I was at a party last night. And my girlfriend, or the girl he's dating at the time, who's a comic, she was like, he was telling a bunch of people the story, and she taps him on the shoulder, and she's like, yeah, so you know that wasn't a real hitchhiker, right? He's like, what, babe? What?
How do you know?
And then he's like, I just had all these flashbacks, like, how did they pull that off? And at first he was kind of mad, but I was like, dude, you know how much effort went into making that joke happen? Like, I wouldn't have done that for many people. So
yeah, you're like an Ashton Kutcher, but funnier.
Yeah, that was a tough, like, that was a 24-hour prank.
Yeah, exactly. To keep it all together, that whole trip.
Oh yeah. It
was that like 10 hours in the car?
All together, yeah, about 5 hours.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Wow.
And plus the night. And plus the hotel. And it was funny too because he'd be like, you guys aren't boyfriend, girlfriend, right? Like, he's like, and he was, and he was scary. His character was scary.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, no. I'd be like, no, man, it's okay. Like, I'm not gay. But then I'd say something like, well, there was one time playing Truth or Dare and something weird happened. And the other comic would look at me and he'd be like, shut the fuck up. Like, like you're going to get us killed. Like, shut up.
This drifter might have a knife. Oh, man. That's fucking hilarious.
But I think especially doing comedy and stuff that's what it's all about, having fun. And
yeah, I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do tend to just get caught up in it.
Yeah. Because, like, it's show business. Some of that is business, but you got to, like, remember why you got into it.
Yeah.
Is you like laughing and you like being around having a good time.
And to make people...
Yeah.
laugh. I mean, comedy is it can be stressful.
Yeah.
The business aspect of it. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, and there's so many comics I know they work and they get their hour, like 1 hour of material, and then they just stick with it and they work on the business, and you can see it just starts being less and less and less fun, and then so it's good to see. You've been doing comedy now for years and years. You're coming up pretty close to 10 now, aren't you?
I think so, yeah. Probably might be at around the 9-year mark.
Yeah. So you've been doing it a while, and it's still fun.
Yeah.
And there are some comics I know that have been doing it for like 5 years even, and they're like, oh, I can't believe. And they'll be like complaining about getting work. And I'm like, if you don't like it, go away. I'll do it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of things in comedy that you don't have control over. And so, for a lot of people, it's hard to accept that fact. And especially too, even with bookers, like sometimes bookers, they just might not like you at a certain time, and it can be hard to take that. Like people will take that personally. Like you don't know what funny is. Then like,
well, I know some comics that like made jokes about Robin Williams dying.
Yeah.
And like bookers commented on the Facebook joke or something and unfriended them, or like,
oh yeah,
there's a lot like
that was.
It's strange because you have to be funny, you have to be entertaining, but you also have to realize that like what you say reflects on you as a person. You're your own product that you're selling, so it's
your personal brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, you have to. The Robin Williams thing. Yeah, I know a couple of guys that got shoveled for that.
Yeah, me too. And the thing was, like, I remember I hit like on a status, and then like a big fight broke out, and I was like, unlike. I'm like, okay, so a whole bunch of people just lost a whole bunch of work. I'm going to pretend that I don't even know what's happening now. It was like, it's one of those things where it's good to have an opinion, but it's also important, like, to know when to not say something, when to know when something's probably inappropriate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Social media. I mean, it's very. I mean, it's you just have to play, but it's just very artificial to me. Like nothing is, because it's just so. Like I've always said, when people show pictures, like vacation pictures, like in Mexico, and then they have the classic picture of like their feet. Like
on a beach. Yeah.
I'm just like, for every picture of that, I want to see 100 pictures of you at your office unhappy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what it took to.
That's all you see though, is people on cruise ships and that. And you never see them like working 10 hours overtime.
No.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because the people that actually are the most honest on Facebook get labeled the crazy or dramatic.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And those are my favorite.
Yeah, where they're like, my dog just died, and people are like, cheer the fuck up, it's Friday.
Yeah.
It's like, good point.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, we're going to take a quick break to grab some pizza, and then we'll come back and do the second half. Okay?
All right.
Oh, shit, guys. It's a part 2 one. You're going to have to wait for the second part now. Ooh, sorry.
Yeah, this guy has sold out 12 shows of like 300 people. That's a lot.
I guess he's a really good magician, though. Like, he fooled Penn and Teller on the Fool Them show.
The Fool Them show?
Well, they have Penn and Teller fool us.
Yeah, it's called Fool Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I don't watch a lot of people.
And they have to do magic tricks in front of Penn and Teller, and Penn and Teller have to try to guess how they did it. And he fooled them.
But I'm guessing I don't know, is magician the same as comedy where there's hack magicians? You know? Like, oh, that's a street trick.
Yeah.
I feel like
There are.
I feel like Arrested Development taught me that.
Oh, is there?
Because Job was a total hack magician.
Yeah, like there's some magicians are like, my blood is wine, and then this is my skin, and this is your card, and it's like, it's been fun. Sweet.
Yeah. And
Can't believe a guy in a dragon suit scored such hot tail.
Well, he proved he
Hot
had
tail,
talent.
that's funny.
Yeah.
No, it's if you
He's
have
spitting hot fire.
it goes back to if you have a little cute dog, you're getting action. Like if you're used to getting 6s, but you pull out a dog, you're getting 8s.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're getting
little chinchilla.
Oh yeah. Because it's like having a kid with a crazy mom.
It's like having an extra adorable kid that won't backtalk you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys, as always, our music is done by Ben Sound, audio touch-ups and engineering done by Triptych Winter. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. We had a wonderful time making it. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. If you could go to our Facebook page and hit like on that, or Twitter and follow us or some such, it actually kind of helps out. Or if you're on iTunes, like, favorite, subscribe, rate, review, I don't know, do something. Just do things, okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, knock, knock, guys.
That's a normal thing.